Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Dalton, and this is Start the Conversation. We are Resolutions Healthcare, and our inpatient facility is Hidden Oaks, and we are located in Chatfield. And we started this podcast to give you some helpful tips and information and ways to go about recovery because it's not just one way. So we're going to talk to a former client today and see what wisdom he brings to the table. If you like this topic conversation, please hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe on whatever platform you're watching. It really helps us to get this video out to more people. All right. With that, I want to introduce my guest today, Cory.
What's going on, buddy?
Oh, not much, man.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you. When you strolled in earlier, you didn't text me and say you were on your way.
No, we're out in the boonies, brother. There's
Yeah,
no service.
no service. Yeah, we're out here in Chatfield, so
That's
down
right.
by Corsicana.
Yeah, it's good. It's not close enough to Dallas. People can run away, huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you popped in, ate lunch with us,
Yeah,
did some catching up.
been
Saw
nice.
saw a couple people here that you were here with.
Yeah,
So that was good.
yeah, definitely connected with some good friends that I met here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about recovery that the community is tight knit, and it's because that shared struggle, that
Mm-hmm.
shared pain, and so you form bonds with people,
Right.
and it's really easy to whenever you get out of treatment, the people who end up doing the work and staying clean um, generally keep in touch pretty well.
Yeah.
And you'll start seeing people fall off slowly just because recovery is not a linear thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where relapse can be a part of someone's story. Um, Miss Laura yelled at me for saying it's a part of relapse or it's a part of recovery. She said
Right.
it doesn't have to be, and I was like, yeah, I get it. But for me, that has been part of my story, a
Yeah.
huge part of my story. It's been most of my story has been relapse, treatment, couple months, relapse. This is the first time I think I've ever really seen any kind of like um, sustained. Just there's a peace. There's an acceptance that's happened. And
Right.
it's been really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. When were you here?
So, October. I think I got here in October. No, October, November. Yeah, sometime around there. I
Some
think so.
left
September.
left in November.
Something like that. Yeah, I can't remember exactly. Yeah, some September, 110 days ago.
110 days is what you got.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I'm
a,
not.
that's the easy way to
Yeah,
put it. We
yeah,
don't gotta worry
yeah,
about
yeah.
all that other
110
stuff.
days ago. So yeah,
110
just a little.
days.
Yeah,
That's awesome,
yeah. It's
man.
been cool,
So
man.
you've made it past that 3 month mark.
Yes,
That's a big milestone.
definitely, definitely. Especially for me because there's been times where I've had I must say this in air quotations because I'll tell people, oh yeah, I'm clean, but really it was just I'm not using my drug of choice. A lot of times it'd be like, oh yeah, I'd get a year away from opioids, but I'd be drinking, I'd be
Right.
doing various things
Yeah,
to,
Cali sober.
yeah, yeah, just doing whatever I could to alter my mood without anybody noticing that I'm back on opioids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this has been the first time that I haven't had a drop of alcohol, haven't nothing. It's been really cool, man, to see like the individual in myself that's coming out. I know I kind of shared with you earlier that I'd gotten into some new hobbies and found some things that I really enjoyed doing. And what's been cool about it is I've been able to turn those interests into something that I can do, making a living and slowly become like more integrated in the community of it's sports memorabilia. I
Yeah,
share that with
yeah.
you.
You told me you started a
Yeah,
business.
we're auctioning off
Yeah.
sports memorabilia online, which has been really cool. I've never in my past been able to have anything of value because every time I've had something of value, it's like, oh, there's money sitting there. And I know I can trade that quickly for cash and go do what I got to do to get high,
Mm-hmm.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been awesome having things that are worth something that's my own.
Right.
In the past, it'd be like my wife and kids couldn't even have anything of value. because I would take that,
Yep.
and it's been a really, really cool experience. Yeah.
Right on.
Mm.
You said kids. How'd your kids?
So I have a 14-year-old daughter. I have a 13-year-old stepson and a 9-year-old stepson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of them at home.
Yeah, my two boys live with me. My daughter, unfortunately, is dealing with her own stuff right now. And so it's been one of those things where I have custody of her. However, my daughter struggles with some of the same things that I struggled with at her age, some marijuana, nothing serious, but I know how the serious things start, so
Yeah.
I'm very cautious about what's happening with her. And she knows that in my household, we just cannot allow that. And I've tried getting her help a few times, and so um, without her getting help, there's really nothing I can do without putting myself at danger. And I know to somebody not in recovery, that might sound like, oh, he's looking out for himself more than his daughter. But what a lot of people don't understand is that if I don't look out for myself, I can't look out for my daughter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 That's a good way to put it. If the boat's sinking, you got to put your life jacket on before
Yeah.
you help the next person.
Yeah. A lot of times in recovery, they say, kind of like with the oxygen masks, it always says, put your oxygen mask on before your child's whenever a plane's,
Hmm.
in some kind of situation. And that's not because it's like, oh, make sure you save yourself. It's because, listen, if you don't have oxygen,
You can't save
yeah,
nobody.
you can't save no one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm in a point where I'm just getting my oxygen, man.
Yeah.
And it's been a really cool experience. See people trust me again. My father's trusted me lately with some pretty awesome things, opportunities, which is the first time in a long time that he's trusted me without some kind of like contingency in place,
Hmm.
And yeah, it's humbling.
Right.
Hmm.
Right on. Well, let's take it back real quick. Where did addiction begin for you?
So I've always competed or been involved in combat sports since I was a young teenager. And so as a young teenager, I trained and fought mixed martial arts, boxing, jujitsu. And so about the time I turned 18, I started fighting in a cage.
Hmm.
Um, and with that comes injuries. You can win a fight and still look worse than the guy who lost.
Right.
It's a fight, you know. And so with those injuries come pain, and with pain, a lot of times nowadays comes a doctor telling you need a pill.
Hmm.
And so that was kind of my story. I started taking painkillers for pain originally, and then once I realized I liked them, me and all my friends at the work that I was doing, which is a restaurant at that time, and um, me being a young man in a restaurant was not a good place. Not because there's bad people there, but you get cash at the end of the night.
Right.
They serve alcohol there. A lot of the people that are there are like just younger individuals who are still going through that stage. And so started snorting pills and taking pills with the people at my work. Found out how much I enjoyed it. One day got invited to a not a party, but a get together at my buddy's house, and they were snorting something, and I was already in the snorting things, and so there was no hesitation. And they explained to me it was cheese, which is heroin mixed with some kind of pill. Generally, it's some kind of sleeping medicine. So I snorted it, and I got really sick. I had started throwing up, but what's the difference in an addict and somebody who's not an addict is I went back for it
You
the
went
next day.
back for more.
Even though like I there was a part of my brain that recognized it was getting endorphins and dopamine and serotonin, but physically I felt ill.
Hmm.
And with that, even through the illness, the next day it almost wasn't a choice for me. It's like, oh, I got to go do more.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, I mean, it must have become some kind of escape. I don't want to say that my childhood was terrible by any stretch of the imagination, because I know people that have dealt with things much more serious and severe than I did as a kid. But everyone has their stuff.
Right. Yeah. Remember what Vinny says. A traumatic thing to one person might not be traumatic for the next,
Yeah.
and that's okay because everybody. That's why he calls them trauma slash life events.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because it doesn't have to be this big grand thing.
Mhm.
It could just be you know, your parents getting a divorce when you
Yeah.
were a teenager, or something like that
Yeah.
can be traumatic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, all of those things I dealt with. I did. So I mean, I don't want to minimize it. I dealt with sexual abuse. I dealt with, divorce. My father went to prison. So all of those things, but it's so common nowadays that it's almost like, and again, don't want to minimize it. They're traumatic.
Right.
And my thing is I'm very focusing on that for me has been important to find out where certain things began, but I don't like hanging on to it because it's almost like I'm in the solution. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I like to acknowledge the things, but a lot of times when I would continue to use those things as almost an excuse,
Mm-hmm.
and I know it's possible to overcome. And so
Right.
what I'm trying to do here, and I don't think it's being communicated as clearly as I want it to, is letting anybody know that's been through anything kind of traumatic and not minimizing what I've been through, but no matter how severe the things that you've been through, like I'll put it this way. Scripture says, um, basically the obstacles that you're encountering are not uncommon to man.
Right. Right.
Everyone goes through some kind of struggle, or a lot of times we deal with things that many people deal with. But it says God also offers us a way out so that we can stand up under it, right?
Right. Right.
And so there is a way out. It's just about doing the work. And that was my biggest problem for the longest time, was doing the work. Um, but I got a little off track there. So that's how my addiction began.
Yeah.
Then I was snorting heroin, and then I was shooting heroin, and it was kind of back and
How
forth.
many years have progressed now when you started shooting?
It was fairly quickly
Fairly
for
quick.
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. So at this time I was in my very early 20s. Um, and then my best friend in the whole world, I've got two of them, but one of my best friends in the whole world, I feel like he's gonna see this and be like, "What, dude? I thought I was your best friend." No, but my buddy Denver, he was my bartender at the job that I was working at, and he had been clean off of heroin for about a year, and I didn't even know he had used. But then when he relapsed, he kind of said like, "Oh, I see some things going on with you," and so we started using together, and that's when things really took off. There's something about injecting drugs that changes everything. Changes everything. Um, Not that snorting it or anything is any better, but when you're injecting it, I think it comes, the consequences come a lot faster and your body reacts to it in a different way. And the way mine reacted to it was, it felt like it was the only thing I needed all the time, every day, 24 hours of the day, to the point where I didn't want to do anything else. And when I say I didn't want to do anything else, I don't mean like, oh, I just wanted to get high at home. I meant like, no, I purposely would take myself to the streets of Dallas because I knew that if I stayed home, it was going to be harder to get to the dealer's house. So I could stay home in a home with heat and air conditioning with a family that loved me, but addiction is so strong and so serious that I chose to be homeless living under a bridge because the dealer was next door.
Mm.
And that's how serious it gets. And I think a lot of people that aren't addicts sometimes can not understand the gravity or the strength of an addiction. And when I tell you that it took me away from everything I loved, it took away, like my combat sports career, that's what I was going to do. I was going to be a professional fighter, and I was going to stay on that path. It, I didn't care about nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing else mattered. Not my kids, not my wife, not my parents. And that it was the only thing I wanted, to the point, like I said, where I isolated everybody and everything,
Right.
sleeping under a bridge.
Sleeping under a bridge.
That's right. Panhandling on the side of the road with the sign. Like, to those lows is where it'll go. And I don't come from a family who doesn't know how to make money. I don't come from extreme poverty, so there was a job waiting for me, but I would rather sit on the side of the road begging for money because I used to say this. I used to say it was the lack of accountability, but I would disguise it as some kind of freedom. I'd be like, oh, I can do what I want to. No one's going to, no, no, no. When really all it was I was running away from accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. You didn't want to be at home because you knew somebody would be there telling you,
Yeah, what are you doing?
yeah.
Yeah.
So mixed martial arts, pain pills prescribed by a doctor, heroin,
Hmm.
living on the streets.
Yep.
How long?
The longest stretch of time that I spent on the streets was probably 5, 6 months.
Yeah.
But I would do 5 or 6 months, and like I said, we had health insurance, we had all of these things. So then it would get to a point where, as the big book calls it, I get the gift of desperation. That's what the big book calls it. It says we are blessed with the gift of desperation, which to somebody normal, that sounds kind of odd, right? Like, how's that a gift? Well, the reason it's a gift is because without that desperation, an addict stays to himself and his own devices. So I'd get desperate enough to go to treatment, go through the withdrawals, and get clean, but something just wouldn't click. And I kept going back over and over. When I tell you I've been to 30 treatment centers, I've been to 30 treatment centers starting from the time I was about 20 to the time I was about in my very early 30s.
Yeah.
Or am I? No, closer to mid 30s, man. I'm growing up faster than I thought. But yeah, so it's been a battle, just a battle.
I think a lot of people can hear you say that number of treatment centers, and some people are gonna be like, why didn't you get it by now? Why did it take you so long?
Yeah.
Can't you just put it down?
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
it
I
don't work like that.
I got that a lot. Like, why, like, dude, why don't you just stop? Right? And my response was like, "Oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah,
I should just stop."
yeah.
Um, and I would stop very short amount of time. But what happens is when you go back to the same things and you allow yourself to walk back right into the same steps that you were taking previous to getting clean, this pattern emerges. Okay, this is what I do. What I do is I get clean for a little bit, start feeling good, people start trusting me, my family starts getting happy, and next thing you know, they're trusting me a little bit. Here's a $20 bill. Maybe I do right by that one $20 bill, but then okay, so we can trust them. You didn't go get dope, or you didn't go get high this time, and then 2 weeks on the road, okay, once. You do it once, and maybe I will only do it once that time. And then that'll last about a week, and then I'll do it twice the next week. And then by the third week, it's all day, every day.
Yes.
It's a very, very cunning, cunning, baffling, and powerful is
Yeah.
what we call it. And it's truer words have almost never been spoken. It will beat you down and keep you there as well as it can to the very best of its ability. And for me, it was such a spiritual battle. And I believe it's a spiritual battle for everybody. And that's why, as far as like AA, one of the most successful recovery tools someone can have is AA. And a lot of people look, when you have been in recovery for a little bit, like my experience was, I kind of, oh, I don't need AA. I don't need this. I don't need that. You kind of look at it like, then you get some people saying crazy things like, oh, they're culty and they're this and they're that. And it's like, but what you don't realize is all those little thoughts you have that are pushing you away from what's been proved to be successful is your addiction. So those little thoughts that like, oh, A is this or that, that's just my addiction saying, hey, listen,
Yeah.
come back, you know, come flirt with me for a second. You don't need those people. And that's what you do. Oh, those are weirdos. But now that I've integrated myself into that community, I recognize that there's not really a group of people out there that will care about you the way that someone else who is in recovery cares about another addict.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. We people who have been in the mud, it's kind of hard for us to judge somebody else when
Yeah,
they're stuck in the same patch of mud.
yeah, yeah.
There's love and compassion there. And I was teaching a devotional group earlier, and one of my points was that God always has compassion for us.
Mm,
And I think a big reason for that is, the New Testament tells us that in the same way it tells us Jesus was tempted in the same way we're tempted,
mm, mm.
yet without sin. So
Yeah,
he knows the pull.
yeah,
God knows the pull of temptation, the pull of of that urge. So when he sees us screwing up,
Yeah.
he knows that feeling.
Yeah.
He knows it's hard down here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he has that compassion for us, and
Yeah.
we have as addicts and alcoholics, I think we have more compassion than a normie
Mhm.
just because they don't know.
Yeah, they don't know any better. It's
Yeah.
not their fault.
Right.
They see somebody stealing copper out of a out of somewhere, they're gonna feel some type of way,
Yeah.
and they have expectations of society, and they have certain things that they think we should be acting a certain way. And one of the things that's really prevalent nowadays, and I kind of not got into it, but I kind of spoke with somebody on Facebook nowadays, is like with social media, it's almost like this morality chasing clout chasing, right? It's like something happens or someone does something that they shouldn't, and someone posted online, and they're like, can you believe so and so did this? Like, I would never, and da 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 da. And you will very rarely see somebody who has struggled through addiction doing that kind of thing. And I'm not in any way trying to disparage people that do, because I understand their intentions are good. But the difference is with individual who hasn't been through the fire. I look at someone doing something crazy and I'm like, oh, that was me a couple of years ago.
Right.
Or, hey, life is growth, and that individual just has a little bit more to go.
Right.
That's the only difference.
Yeah. You know, I think it can be easy for you said, somebody sees a drug addict stealing copper,
Yeah.
they got something negative to
Yeah.
say about them. But we don't we don't say anything negative about you when you eat 10 plates of
Yeah.
food at the McDonald's,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's got
Their own
something.
thing. Yeah.
Everybody's got to grow.
Yeah. We all
Everybody's
got
got to
growth to do. Yeah, no, absolutely. It comes in many shapes and forms, addiction.
Cory, what was the hardest part about your early days of sobriety this last time?
Um, the hardest part. There's a couple of them. This will kind of be a two-part answer here, because there was a hardest part personally that I had to deal with, and then there were situations that would come up and that were more difficult to endure. So I would say the hardest part for me almost every time, but especially this last time, because I knew where I was mentally, I knew where I was spiritually, and I knew where I was on my road to recovery.
That being where? In a good
In a
spot?
good spot,
Yeah.
like really given over and really, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go to meetings. I'm gonna attend meetings. I'm gonna talk to people about. I'm just going to sell myself out to the idea that I'm either going to be an addict in addiction or an addict in recovery. There's no third choice for me. And so I have an addiction. I'm just choosing to be in recovery. However, that decision doesn't manifest itself physically, so no one could really just see it on me.
Yeah.
So all they saw was the same thing, right? Cory is very sold on, yeah, I'm going to get clean this time. Yeah, but I've heard that 40 times.
Mm-hmm.
And so then one of the most difficult parts is being in this really, really good place. Like I'm moving ahead. I'm taking steps. I'm finally seeing some progress, and everybody kind of treating you with the same indifference that they always have. And it's not that I don't understand it, and it's not that it wasn't deserved or that I don't understand that they're protecting themselves. But when you finally hit the place where you're like, I have made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God, to whatever path may be laid before me as a sober individual, and everybody else is on it still kind of, you know, keeping you at arm's length,
Right.
it there's a pain, right? And I dealt with it a lot with my wife, and that's kind of my second point, is that I don't know if it's just me or the way that I'm made. I know my father's pretty similar, but I'm a very like affectionate, like I want to be I want I want to be close to my wife, and I won't even get into it, but I think there's biblical reasons behind all of that. Like I want to be like for me in my life, my relationship with my wife is the most important relationship that I have, because it is modeled after Jesus's relationship to the body of Christ,
And
right?
it sounds like physical touch is your love language.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And for the longest time when I would get home, I'd want to be so affectionate with my wife and so loving, and she was very hesitant. But recognizing that her being the most important relationship in my life, and vice versa, I'd like to say vice versa. We'll see, right? Um, the issue is that we hurt the people that are closest to us the most.
Yep.
And so the person that I've exposed to the most pain through my addiction is my wife, my kids, and my parents, easily.
Yep.
And so that pain causes a self like a self-preservation response in people. So when I've continuously caused her pain, she's learned to put up this wall, and she's not going to let me break it down. She's going to set these boundaries, which is good. It's healthy for her. But it there's a part of me that wants her to experience like this level of like, oh, things are changing, things are different. And the only way that I was explained that happens from my sponsor, who I really need to call. I need to call him in a couple of days, and I need to get with him for sure. Um, is that the difference is it takes our loved ones a different length of time.
Yep.
It does. And so it's going to take her a little bit longer to feel that same way.
Yeah.
And she's getting there. Like last night, for New Year's, she made a video of us and the family, and it was a cute video. And, I know that I don't necessarily tell her in the best words, like, oh, like, hey, that meant something to me, but it does, because I see that. I see she's trying again. I see she's kind of let herself say, you know what, maybe it's worth fighting for again, and so it's nice. But yeah, that's one of the hardest parts. And then the hard situations are like very similar. Me and my wife get into a fight. I've dealt with this one time. We got into a very, very strong disagreement, right? Um, and we both said things that we shouldn't have said to each other. And that happens. We're human. And in that moment, there was a small amount of time where I had reserved myself to relapsing. But the difference is because I had been doing the work this last time, when I said, hey, I'm going to relapse, instantly it was like, oh, this is that moment. This is that make or break it moment. This moment right now is going to dictate the way my future goes.
Yep.
This is going to dictate whether or not I get divorced. This moment right now. It's going to dictate whether or not I end up back in prison or jail. This is going to dictate whether or not I'm going to see my kids again. And so having that buffer there, so important. And Hidden Oaks helped a lot with that, honestly. This was a really, really good experience for me. And I say that very um I don't say that easy because I feel my experience with treatment centers it's really just a buffer. It's like you go there and you get away from your drug of choice for 30 days and then the work starts when you get out. But Hidden Oaks was a little different, and it was really cool experience. The people here, like, they really care about you, and they love on you while you're here, and they it's just different. And it was really, really good for me. And so, yeah, that was just a little it helps.
Amen.
It helps.
Amen. I like that you called it, when you were at that moment, that make or break moment where I can make this choice and spiral my whole life, or just take a break, don't do it, don't act on something. I was reading an article yesterday, and it was the 90-second rule.
Mm.
When you get a craving, don't do anything. Don't make any other choice for 90 seconds.
Yeah.
It said that craving more than likely is going to last between 60 and 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And if you just pause, if you don't act on anything for 90 seconds and then ask yourself again, do I want to follow through with this? I think just, having that buffer
Yeah.
gives your mind enough time
Hmm.
not to chase the impulse, but to play the tape through
Yeah.
and see where it's going. There was another thing on there. It said play the movie, don't just play the trailer.
Yeah. That makes
Because
sense.
when we
All the
play the trailer, it's like, oh, it's good
Yeah.
times, it's fun.
Yeah.
I'm getting high, I'm escaping my worries, but that's just the 2 minute trailer
Yeah, every movie
versus
looks good in the
yeah,
trailer, right? They take the
right.
best parts out.
Yeah,
And a
never
bad
seen a
trailer,
bad trailer.
every trailer, I'm like, I want to see that. And you go there and you're like, what is this?
It's
Yeah, no.
terrible.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I like that. Yeah, definitely. And then there's the more intense cravings where you really have to dig in.
Right.
Because those are for me, the 30 to 90-second cravings they happen way more often than I like to admit.
Hmm.
There's always, on my way here, I drive by Dallas and it's kind of like, oh, but
But it's just a thought now.
yeah, it's a
It's not
thought,
a
and it's
not a deep craving.
well, the difference is now I've started relating my addiction to something different. It's what I've had to do, because I used to relate my addiction to like, oh, good times, oh, escapism, and da 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 da, and I'm doing what I want to do, and now every time I think of my addiction, I immediately make myself think
Right.
pain, divorce, jail. That's exact like that is the decision I've had to make. Is I have to relate my addiction to what it is.
Right.
I can't play in this delusion world where my addiction is fun and freedom and we're gonna have a good time, because it stopped being fun about the second weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a veteran thought.
Yeah.
That's somebody who's been trying this
Yeah.
for some
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. This is
The rookie thought is, oh yeah, it's fun.
yeah.
It's an escape. You know.
Stopped being fun a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it's you get endorphins. So for me to sit here and say, "Oh, drugs don't feel good," I would be lying.
Right.
There's a reason why we get hooked on them, right? And so there's a reason why they call you back, and it's for that feeling, right?
Hmm.
But when you've spent almost 20 years piling up just junk and pain, and you start looking at it and you're like, okay, good feeling, and then you look over here and there's a barn full of mistakes and consequences, you're like, okay, that good feeling doesn't look so good
Yeah.
anymore. Yeah.
Definitely doesn't measure up.
Mhm.
What daily habits or practices keep you grounded today?
I'll say the first one is going to meetings. I was going to meetings. When I first got out, I was going 2, 3 times a day. Like when I first was back, just because I was so scared of myself. I'm to this day still afraid of myself,
Good.
because I know what I'm capable of,
Hmm.
and I know exactly what I'm willing to do whenever I'm not in the right headspace.
Hmm.
And so on the other side of the coin, I have to be willing to put in the exact same effort to save my life,
Right.
because I'm willing to go through. I told this story in treatment. There was once where I was going to get high so bad. It was a couple of years back, and it was the middle of the night, and it was a snowstorm. And I don't know if you know where Princeton, Texas is, but I rode my bike in the middle of a snowstorm from Princeton, Texas to Plano, Texas to get on the DART train to come down to Dallas. So it was about an 8-hour bike ride down a highway in the middle of an ice and snowstorm, because I wanted to get high that bad, right? And that's a story I tell just so people understand the desperation it hits. I'm willing to do anything. I
Yeah.
will, yeah, I I will push a quarter down 75 with my nose if it means I get some drugs at the end when I'm in my addiction. And so if I'm not willing to put that same effort in towards my recovery, it's like, how bad do I really want it? You know,
Not bad enough.
not bad enough. That's very true. And that was me for the longest. I want it. I just don't want it to do anything. So getting back to my daily habits is go to meetings.
Hmm.
And anyone watching, if you're wondering what you need to do and you're like, oh, I don't need meetings, you probably do. I don't want to tell you what you need. Everyone needs something different. And so it's not for me to tell you what's required of you, but I will tell you that if you're going to look at anything, percentages, anything like people who make meetings make it. It's the truth. And I fought that truth for so long. I really thought I was one of the special ones.
Everybody does.
Yeah. I thought I could just go out and you know what? I'm just going to go to work. I'm going to make money. I'm going to go work out and I'm going to be good. And tried it. And all I'm saying to anyone who is watching is worrying, like, we learn through one of two ways. We learn through pain or precept, right? We learn
Hmm.
through our own pain or the perception of someone else's pain. And so if I can tell anybody that I have gone through that pain for you and they will listen, then please do, because it does not work. Um, it's yeah, it's you're it's it's just not gonna be for me. Meetings are so integral. It's something that I have to do. I have to make it. And there are times where I'll go like a week or a week and a half, and I'll get like I'm busy at work and I don't make one, but I'm very quick to be like, hey, it's been a week and a half. I need to get back.
Yeah.
I don't let it get away from me. So yeah, meetings, meetings, and meetings. Right. That's my first three habits,
Okay.
and then my after that, it's huge one. Being honest, just being honest, and I don't mean just being honest about your addiction. I went to Starbucks the other day. Someone gave me $10 in cash too much, so I went back in and gave it. It's if I'm not honest in everything, I'm giving myself a little room to be dishonest in everything. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense? In anything, I should say.
Yeah.
So that like extreme, even self, like you are causing yourself pain to be honest right now. It's you have to do it.
You got to do it.
You got to do it. There's no other way for me.
I walked out of Walmart the other day. Hillary, my wife, and Letty, my little girl, were with me, and Letty grabbed this shaker toy
Yeah,
off the end cap or whatever, and she threw it down. Told her don't do it again. She threw it down, so I said, "Okay, you're not getting it." And I put it in my hoodie.
yeah.
We walk around the store. We get what we need. We walk out. I get to the car. I, oh
Yeah,
man!
yeah. No fun.
So I pull it out. I show Hillary. I'm like, I got to go back
Yeah,
in. You know,
yeah,
it's a little
yeah. It's a
dollar
little
50 cent toy,
yeah,
but
and no one would have noticed. That's
no one would have
right.
noticed.
That's where the integrity
But
comes
I
in.
would have.
You
But
would
I
have.
would have knew.
Yep, yep. That's my thing too. I was already driving away, and I was like, this seems like too much money, and I counted it. And yeah, sure enough, the girl was new. Gave me too much cash. I knew when she was handing me it back. I'm like, she's not counting it. She's just kind of like, she seemed flustered. And so I counted it, and there's $10 too much. And I'm kind of driving, and Walmart's right next door. I'm like, oh man, I could go get myself a little snack, right? But I'm like, no, 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 not because I'm a good person. It's because I'm a flawed person, and I know if I don't do the right things, that flawed person becomes my main my main character,
Yeah,
right? And so that's why I don't say these things because I'm like, oh, this is what
I'm
I
goody
do.
two
No,
shoes.
I
No.
have to do them because I know I'm broken.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah,
A great way to put it.
it's whether I'm willing to do it or not's the difference. And I'm just now at the point where I am willing to do it. And so it's been cool.
That's
And it
awesome.
gets more difficult. It gets more difficult and more difficult in certain situations. But what I'm really enjoying, and there's this thing called we call it the pink cloud in
Yeah,
recovery, where it's like early recovery. You're like, oh, I feel great. Like nothing. Why would I ever go get high again? And da 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 da. And I dealt with that in the beginning, but since I've been through it so many times, and I know, hey, there's going to come a time when I don't feel as great.
right.
I just allowed myself to enjoy it. It's like, yeah, I'm on a pink cloud right now, but I am going to ride this pink cloud as long as it lasts. Um, and for anybody watching who might not understand, the pink cloud is when I kind of explained it, but when you're in new recovery, a lot of people will think that that's what recovery is. It's always going to feel that good. And
Hmm.
so people say you're on a pink cloud and you're going to come down sometime.
Yeah.
And that's a very true statement. But what I would advise for people who are going through that and are like, oh, he says I'm going to come down sometime. You always got to, right? You're never going to be at a high all the time. And so ride it out while it's there. Enjoy it while it lasts. It's kind of like going on vacation. You know
Right.
you're going to go home to work, but I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah.
You know?
Sweet. All right. Last thing. Last thing we do on these is a bit of advice.
Okay.
So if you could give a bit of advice for somebody out there struggling, just can't find the willingness to go to treatment,
Okay.
what would your advice be to that person?
Hmm. I would start by saying that life is so short and we have one opportunity at this thing. And
Okay, Eminem.
yeah, one chance, one opportunity. No, but if you spend 20 years like I did using, There's going to be a day when you decide to get sober, or hopefully there's going to be a day when you decide to get sober, and you're going to look at your 20s, your teens, some of your early 30s, and be like, I've wasted so much time. If you have children, next thing you know, my daughter's 15. I didn't get any of the time with her. So don't wait. Do not put it off to tomorrow. And if you were like I am, where you used opioids, tomorrow very well could not be there. So do not wait, and don't feel ashamed. Just I don't know how to say this in a way that is going to really, really. I want to communicate this as best as possible because it's so important. Everyone has something that they could feel ashamed for. Everyone has done something that they can't, that they shouldn't be proud of or aren't proud of. And so allowing your addiction to cause you so much shame that you are refusing to get help is just creating more situations that are going to be shameful. And it just turns into this big circular logic. And what it does is it gets harder and harder. So if you have the opportunity to get help, do it. Don't wait. Don't say I'm going to think about it tomorrow. Don't say I'm going to get high one more time because I've had a lot of friends say I'm going to treatment in a week and didn't make it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was telling you about my best friend that I got, that was my bartender. We lost him about 2 years ago. Best friend, right? Tough situation.
Yeah.
And the reason I say this is because he didn't die from heroin. He quit doing opioids, and then he died from alcohol. Like, don't put it off. Don't say, hey, I'm going to stop doing this drug and I'll just drink a little bit. Go get help because that's really the only way. You have to clear your mind before you can think straight.
Yeah.
You have to you have to separate yourself from your drug. So you can't even make correct decisions until you have at least 30 days away from your drug of choice. So get somewhere that's going to isolate you from your drug of choice before you start making any decisions, but make that first decision to get away and run like hell.
Yeah.
Run because it's chasing you and it's going to come no matter where you are. And for anyone who thinks they're just experimenting with opioids specifically, I have a very specific feel like for people who are struggling with opioids because I relate to it. Any kids who are like, hey, we're especially with Percocets being big, it's not a toy, it's
Right.
not fun, and it's not a party.
Yeah.
It is trying to kill you.
Real talk.
Yeah. So yeah, I I know I had to get serious, real serious there for a second, but we're dealing with a very serious issue here.
Yeah.
The more people die from opioid use nowadays, and I think it's the leading cause of death in or something like that. I think it surpassed drunk driving or something. I think. I don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty positive.
Right.
It's gotten crazy, especially
I
with
know it's
fentanyl.
gotten crazy. Yeah.
Especially with fentanyl. When I was a kid, you could buy hydrocodones and you were getting hydrocodones. Nowadays, you buy anything and you get fentanyl and you die.
Yeah.
I've known kids who wanted to smoke a blunt and die from fentanyl overdose. The world is not gentle to people who are not willing to make certain sacrifices for the betterment of themselves, right?
Yeah.
And also find Jesus. That's one of the most important things I ever did.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here without him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a good podcast, man. Good,
Appreciate
good
it, man.
conversation.
Yeah.
I liked catching up with you today.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
It's good to see you, man. Good
Yeah.
to see you rocking it. Good to see you being sober.
It feels good, man. It feels good. This is the first time I've been able to come back to a treatment center that I've gone to. And I've always made the plans, right? I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna come back and talk to the people. And 2 weeks later, I was doing the same old thing. Yeah, but it's nice, right? It's like in time, things happen.
In time, you start seeing them rewards, and you start, it's not the things you learned. It's not so much the things you learned in treatment that are keeping you sober. It's the things you're experiencing post treatment.
Yeah,
and you're getting those rewards of sobriety, and it's like, man, I'll keep this going.
Yeah, it's been really cool, and it's getting to a point where it's like, oh, this is way more fun than any parties I ever went to.
Right.
Me and my wife last night, I sat at home and watched a movie, and we're out by 12. We didn't even really celebrate the ball drop. I mean, I went in, gave her a kiss at 12, but then it was like I don't think I'd have it any other way. I
Right.
used
Yeah.
to go off and drink and party, and now that I look back on it, it was like it's this is so much more rewarding.
Right. Yeah. You did better than me. We were both asleep by 11 o'clock. All right, y'all. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.